All right, folks, welcome to December 20th, also the last meeting for the Ambient work group this year. Without further ado, you want to talk about your topic?
Yeah, definitely. I want to do like a pulse check or a check-in if there's community consensus about the input approach. And I'm not I don't need any timelines per se. I'm just kind of doing work that builds on top of that. And I want to make sure that we are all in agreement this direction makes sense. So basically, I don't want to waste 2 weeks of my life writing code that'll go to the trash if there's disagreement.
Yeah, so I'll just chime in, same as what I said earlier. This looks like definitely the best approach so far, and probably the right approach long term. Our testing has been good so far. We'll continue some more testing. We haven't really looked at the code yet. We'll probably do that as well. But everything looks good, and this looks like the right approach to merge.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Any other opinions? I see Mitch and John are here.
Yuval, can you summarize what this means for our posture in terms of bypassability?
It's very similar to trade-offs in Sidecar. We basically take the in terms of networking, it operates almost exactly like Sidecar, which means, I think it mainly means that egress policies has the potential to be bypassed, though we can think of and iterate on mitigations for that. But that's the main thing.
Can you add information on that? Are you talking about privileged pods messing it up or something else?
And not necessarily privileged, even though we can mitigate regular pods, so it's only privileged pods. But yeah, very similar to how egress can be bypassed in sidecars today by the pod itself kind of racing with Envoy and binding to the Envoy ports and kind of pretending to be the sidecar.
By the way, this was presented by Yuval, I think, a few weeks ago. There is a design doc for a particular section for this. I can link to the notes if people wants to read it again. I believe John requested us to add that in the design doc.
Is it this one here? On the December 6th?
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm going to add a bookmark so people knows where it is. Yeah.
So as far as I can tell, I mean, the ability for a privileged pod to corrupt this redirection is no different than a privileged pod doing any other kinds of damage or bypass, right? So this is not any more susceptible when dealing with privileged pods.
Compared to sidecar, yes, but compared to the previous redirection method, it has the one advantage that it happens outside the pod namespace. So it's easier to guarantee that all pod traffic gets captured, even on egress. The disadvantage is that because it's on the host namespace, it interacts with CNIs. So we'll have to maintain slightly different redirection methods for different CNIs.
Okay, I probably need to understand and think through that offline a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, I saw a couple of folks from Microsoft, Jeremy and Mike. Do you guys have any feedback on this? I'm not sure if you guys have done any testing also.
I have not personally done any testing with this yet. I am hoping to read through the content of it the next couple of days. But I don't know if Jeremy has poked at it more than I have yet.
Okay, same.
It's great reading for Christmas.
I mean, yeah, take advantage of the slow week when a bunch of people are out to get caught up on some of this.
Yeah, nothing like some networking code to start your year.
Yeah. Hey, John, can you also share your thoughts as far as directional? I think you said yesterday when I spoke to you, you said you need more time to review. But do you have any thoughts on directional, if this is a reasonable approach?
Yeah, no, I think it is. I mean, in some ways, I kind of hate it, but I don't have any better better options. So it's definitely the best option we have. So yeah, I mean, that being said, the code is fairly complicated. Not just this, but also the ECO part, which I'm kind of been reviewing in tandem. So I don't have issues with the direction, but we'll need some more time on the code review.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Jeremy, were you trying to say something?
Yeah, I just have a sorry for the background noise on my daughter right now, but I have a quick question for John. You said that you don't really like the current solution, but can't think of alternatives. Are you gonna leave like those comments on it as you review, just like for added context for myself as I read through it?
I wasn't planning to, but because it's not like tied to any specific part, just the broader thing. But I suppose I could. But the general reasons why I don't think it's amazing is it's kind of complicated, and we have like then end up with different security, or not necessarily security, but like operational behavior of like what is captured and what isn't. So it's, I think they're reasonable trade-offs and trade-offs you should make, but yeah, I mean, it's certainly better than the alternative, which is you have to use kind as your cluster. So
Thanks for the context.
Lynn, thanks for the bookmark into the doc. Having looked at that, I think I'd like to make sure that we explore, there's sort of an in the future, we might be able to improve bypassability this way or that way. I'd like to make sure that that's, you know, on the agenda in fairly short order. One of the key selling points of Ambient was non-bypassability. And so I'd like to not compromise on that if possible. But it sounds like with the eBPF modifications, our non-bypassability posture is about as good as it can get. Is that a proper understanding of what I'm saying here?
For non-privileged pods, I think we can, John, I'd love your opinion here too, but basically with non-privileged pod, I think the main vector is preventing the application from binding to the Z-tunnel pod, and we can do that with eBPF.
yeah, I've always kind of felt like once we're in the pod domain, that it's kind of always a cat and mouse game. So it's plausible that we could plug all the holes, but I would be, let me put it this way, I would be skeptical of us saying like, we guarantee that we will capture all traffic. I think we get to the point where all possible ways to bypass traffic are not possible anymore. But it would be hard to be so certain that we guarantee that from a security standpoint.
And John,
sure.
do you feel that same uncertainty with regard to host namespace capture or
Host namespace capture? I don't see.
Sorry, I don't have good words today. The previous model that we have been using was
Host,
in the
yeah.
Oh,
Redirection in the host namespace.
I feel more confident about that one, yeah, because it's a similar mechanism that the CNIs use for network policy. That being said, we have found that those aren't necessarily as reliable as people might think or may want. So I would, I mean, I never want to be in a situation where I'm saying I guarantee the security of something, but it does feel a bit more comfortable in that posture. And then to be fair, like over time, we can build confidence in our approach. It's just when you're running something in a trust domain, it's hard to kind of add isolation to that. So.
And to be clear, we're talking about pods bypassing egress. Ingress, like the ingress direction, you know, it's still, basically it's very similar to Sidecar.
When you say pods bypassing egress, are you referring to egress L4 auth or egress Kubernetes network policy? I imagine.
No, just basically bypassing Z tunnel on egress traffic from the pod.
Right. So we could potentially add some monitoring or detection capabilities to confirm that there is no way the pod is sending traffic without going through the Z tunnel. Even if we can't prevent it, we could detect it and flag it, I think.
Yeah, and we have some of those ideas in the mitigation section, and if you have more, please add them there. So I do think we can. I agree with you, John, that it's kind of a little bit of a cat and mouse game, but I think there's a finite number of holes that we can eventually plug and get, obviously not 100%, but a very good degree of confidence.
So I guess I'd summarize just by saying, if we can consider the preventing unprivileged pods from binding to Z-tunnel ports as a requirement for this design, rather than as a eventually we could do this, then I think I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that with eBPF. It does add some more requirements, like kernel version and, mounting the required eBPF system, file system, basically extra privileges. But yeah, it's definitely possible. I can look into that.
Thank you.
So a quick question here on the egress bypassability. If I'm using Istio egress gateway and I have config the external traffic to go through egress gateway, this would be greatly mediated, right?
So we're not talking about the egress through an egress gateway. We're just talking about traffic, forced traffic that's leaving the pod to go through a Z tunnel. If all egress from the cluster has to go through an egress gateway by some other policies, network policies, for example, I think we can mitigate, the damage, but you still have the original problem.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
So I'd say partially mitigating, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. And then the other clarification I would ask is, right now, Ambient doesn't support privileged pods, right? You can't enroll privileged pods into Ambient, right?
Privilege, why not? You can't enroll host pods, hostnet pods.
Oh yeah, host. Host network. Okay. Okay, so host network pods we don't support for sidecar, we don't support Ambient, but privileged. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I got confused.
Yeah, the thing with privileged pods, the way we set up redirection is in the pod namespace, network namespace, and privileged pods can just remove those. They have the privileges to remove these redirections.
Right. Although privileged pods can do other things even without this in-pod redirection.
Mm-hmm.
So privileged pods are always they always have ways to bypass CNI expected paths or like with or without in-pod redirection.
Mm-hmm.
But can you tell us why the host network pods are not supported in Ambient?
I mean, how could you set up redirection rules on the host network namespace without messing up the host? It's, by the way, same problem for current Ambient. Not to mention, my plugin is not even called.
So I can repeat. Do you say it is or it is not a restriction of current
on host pods, host network pods? CNI plugins are not invoked. There's no CNI, right? Because you're in the host network namespace.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same problem for Ambient as it is now. Ambient within pod mode and sidecar. It's, it's just something we can't do. And if we were to try, there's a good chance we'll destroy the host.
Okay, maybe we can think through this a little bit more. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know if anybody, we have requirements on supporting host network for Istio in general, right? It seems pretty dangerous to
Yeah.
have Istio manage your posi that's running in host network. They have very high privilege already.
I think we should look into that. I think the I'm not saying it's a critical requirement, but it doesn't seem like an unsolvable problem. But anyway, I don't want to
Well,
sidetrack.
it was it was unsolvable for sidecar for a very long time. So yeah, only if there's like real requirements.
Anyway, I think the net is that this is the best approach we've got so far. There are some things to think through on the bypassability and detection, whether it's not going through the cTunnel or mitigation strategies, but still that should not be that much of a concern to block this. So I think this is the right approach.
Yeah, the other thing I want to add is I've been, setting up the work item require for beta, particularly for L4. A lot of work item actually have a dependency on this. So be able to get this in fast. Hopefully after John feels comfortable, then we could potentially, have more testing around it, around different environments, because in the past we had people open up quite a few issues around Ambient not able to run pretty much any environments other than client, right? So and then there's also a bunch of tasks related to upgrade, docs, update, and all that. It's kind of tied into having this be merged.
Are we going to get different CNI vendors or some teams try it out with Calico, Cilium?
I tried them already. I know some of our team already tried Calico too. So I guess it would be up to which ones community have interest. So certainly, we have good interest in Cilium. So I think we even have some automated testing around Cilium for that. So it would be up to whoever has interest to try.
Okay.
I guess essentially for yours, you also tested with OpenShift CLI, right?
Yeah, so we tested with OVS-based CNI, which OpenShift uses OV and Kubernetes, and we did expect it should work because of the design, and it does work. We'll continue testing, and that also covers other kinds of OVS-based CNIs, such as VMware's Tanzu. That is also probably going to be addressed by the solution, but we haven't.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. By the way, I remember trying Ambient without this fix, this import. Like I can't even run Ambient with Cilium at all. It's like Ambient cTunnel wouldn't even come up when my environment has Cilium running.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else we should be discussing on this topic, Yuval?
No, that's all. I'm happy to see it's mostly positive feedback.
Okay, then it's settled. I take that as a official go-ahead. So I see, John, you added something here. Hyper 1.0.0. What is that?
It's a dependency. I added this like months ago. You're on December
Never mind.
6th.
I'm looking at the wrong.
Okay.
Okay, is that the only thing we have today?
Yeah, looks like so.
All right, well, that's a wrap for last episode of the Ambient Mesh Workgroup meeting. Next week, we're not going to meet, but we will come back and resume the meeting on January the 3rd. Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Happy holidays,
Alrighty.
y'all.
Take care. Bye all.